Hello, everyone. I'm Jane Buckinevich. I'm the Faculty Director of Light, and I'm joined today by Jacqueline Grace, who's the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Tropicana Casino in Atlantic City. Jacqueline was named General Manager of the Tropicana, which is part of Caesars Entertainment Resorts, in September of 2020. So I'm going to start. I have a few questions to learn more about your background. I'm going to start with a really broad one. Who is Jacqueline Grace?
Thank you again for having me. I am excited to do this, so appreciate the opportunity. As far as who is Jacqueline Grace, I think there are many ways to answer that question. All right, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter. At the moment, I'm somewhat of an absentee friend. God bless friends who are super understanding, but I'm also a purpose-driven leader who really passionate about teaching, influencing, and inspiring others to reach their fullest potential. I'm committed to serving others, and that really is the reason why I do what I do. I'm also a writer, a traveler, an amateur fitness enthusiast. All of those things are in my head at the moment because I've not made a lot of time to do any of those things lately. But I'd say all of that stuff makes me who I am.
Well, that's great. That explains why you are such a good friend and partner to Stockton Universities. So what were the highlights of your career which led you to become Senior Vice President and General Manager at the Tropicana?
I'll take you briefly, and I'll try to make it brief, but I'll take you briefly through my career because it's a bit varied, right? And when most people hear my background, they think, how the heck did you become a general manager of a casino? So I started out academically, if you will. I majored in electrical and computer engineering in undergrad, right? So I went to Stony Brook University and studied computer engineering. Then I wanted to understand at the time, I was really I was focused on figuring out how do you build computers, right? I like computer programming, but I was really interested in understanding how do you build the darn things. And so that's why I went off and studied electrical and computer engineering. While I was an undergrad, I was also really active on campus, and in particular, I held leadership roles with the National Society of Black Engineers. And throughout high school as well as college, I understood that I gravitated towards leadership, anything that involved organizing people, processes, things, events, etc., right? Like gathering a bunch of people to achieve a common goal. When it was time to graduate from Stony Brook, I had two opportunities. I had an opportunity to join a traditional engineering firm in a traditional kind of engineering role, and then I had an opportunity to work on Wall Street. I chose the latter because I thought that would be a great way for me to combine both the technical and engineering skills that I learned and developed at undergrad, as well as kind of leveraging the leadership skills that I honed and what I enjoyed, and kind of bringing those two things together. So that was probably the beginning of the first career decision that led to my somewhat diverse and varied career. So I worked on Wall Street for about 9 years. I spent the first 6 years and change in IT. So in various project management, program management roles, supporting internal software development groups who were developing applications for the business. And then I made my second, I guess, if you will, pivot, although that would be my first career transition. And I transitioned from technology into diversity and inclusion. I was incredibly passionate about diversity and ways to attract, retain women and underrepresented minorities into technology and then into financial services in general. And so I moved into diversity and inclusion, where I helped to do just that, build a diversity and inclusion practice for the corporate groups. Did that for about 3 years and then went off to business school. It was always a goal of mine to get my MBA. I value education. I believe education really is a way to open doors. And so I went off to business school, University of Virginia, Darden School of Business, and I obtained my MBA there. When I decided to go to business school, I said I was going to do two things. I was either going to pursue a career in hospitality, and I'll tell you why in a minute, or I was going to do something in an entrepreneurial space. And I kind of explored both while I was in business school, but ended up obviously coming down the hospitality path. As I looked at all of my career transitions, all of those things moved me closer and closer to the core of my work being about people and how I can serve people and impact their lives in some way or another. And hospitality is just that in my mind, like a giant people business. We're serving our team members, we're serving our guests. That is how I then transitioned into the industry. I started here in Atlantic City, worked for Caesars Entertainment, starting at Bally's, And then I moved around the region, Valleys to Showboat, and then in a regional role and held different roles, slot operations or slot analytics, I should say, marketing, and then human resources. And did that for about 4 years. And then I left the market, stayed with Caesars Entertainment, left the market and went down to our property in Maryland, the Horseshoe Casino in Baltimore, shortly after they opened as the head of HR there. Shortly after that, I then transitioned to our property outside of Philadelphia. And I went there as the assistant general manager. Then I went back to Baltimore as the assistant general manager because that opportunity opened up there and I felt like my work wasn't quite done. Baltimore is a great city and I was really passionate about the work that the property did in the city of Baltimore and the impact we were having not only in our team members' lives, but in the greater city. And so I jumped at an opportunity to return to Baltimore. And then after, being there for a little bit over 3 years, that's when I had the opportunity to return to Atlantic City as the general manager here at the Tropicana. So I know that is a mouthful. That's a lot. That kind of takes you through, my career path and, what led me here today.
That is inspirational on so many levels. First of all, the technical background for a woman, and then shifting to HR, which HR people sometimes have a hard time advancing to the top levels of management, and you did all of that. So
yeah.
What a great inspiration.
I tell people, quite frankly, that, my HR background was really instrumental. When I jumped into HR here in Atlantic City, the role was employee and labor relations for the city. So it was all 4 properties at the time under Caesars Entertainment. And although I was thrown into it, essentially, it's a great way to really learn about the business. So whether it is understanding some of the challenges that employees have and how to address those and mitigate those, thinking about employee engagement and what are the things that we can do as an organization to ensure that our team members feel valued and appreciated and respected. Because if they do, and they feel like they can bring their whole selves to work, then that's where discretionary effort comes from, right? And then as a leader, that's what you want, right? You want folks who feel incredibly motivated because then they're going to go above and beyond, to get the job done, to take care of our customers, ensure we have excellent guest service. So working in HR really gave a foundation for that, particularly on the labor relations side. It was a great way to really understand the business and how we operate it and what are the things that we needed to do to partner with the unions in order for all of us to be successful.
That's great. So you've been in your new job for about a year. What would you consider your greatest current challenges and success?
As I think about this question, I think they can be one and the same. I started at the property in September. Do you realize, by the way, my 1-year anniversary was last week. So
oh my gosh.
I started at the property in September, which was only a short, or was probably long for the team, right? 2 or 3 months after we reopened from the closures. So I'd say one of the greatest challenges during my time here was helping the property navigate through the pandemic. There were so many changes, as you know, so much uncertainty, new health and safety protocols, which the team did a fantastic job on implementing and being consistent with those things. But that was a new part of their job. So health and safety protocols and doing all that we can to ensure we keep our team members as well as our guests safe. With additional and increased restrictions that came on during the surge in the fall, we needed to change how we operated. And all of that, change is tough for everybody, right? So I would say one of the biggest challenges, to be a little bit more concise, was helping the team navigate through the ebbs and flows of the pandemic. However, I think that was also one of our biggest successes because not only did we do that and do that effectively, I think on the other side of it, now we're still in the middle of it, don't get me wrong. What I found is that the team has been incredibly resilient. We have been really focusing on rewarding and recognizing our team members for their resiliency through that. And then we've also demonstrated that we can operate the business in a way that's even more effective and more efficient because we had to. And so all of that has actually helped with the performance of the business as well. So I'd say that is my greatest challenge as well as success.
Great, thank you. Now we've talked a lot about the past. So looking to the future, what is your vision for the future of Atlantic City, and what will the key issues and trends be over the next few years?
I'll answer this question in 2 parts. So for the industry, my vision is that we continue to evolve and truly be a world-class resort town that has something for everyone. For the longest, there's been lots of talk about what are the additional amenities that Atlantic City needs to help it to grow and continue to grow and attract more people to the city. And I do believe that there's something to be said for having something for everyone, for families who may want to come to the city, for guests who are really excited about non-gaming amenities, whether it be shows, nightlife, restaurants, etc. A really robust non-gaming amenity offering, and then as well as world-class gaming offerings. I think if we all as an industry continue to invest in those things, then I truly think that's, part of the vision for the city as far as the industry is concerned. More importantly, as I think about the city itself, my vision would be continued investment into the infrastructure, the resources, and the services to truly support the city and the residents of the city. So I think those two things combined really are, I think, a key to the future of the city.
What role do you see Tropicana playing in the future?
Here at Tropicana, we have a commitment to service, serving our team members to ensure that we're building a culture where people are proud to say they work here, serving our guests to ensure that they have a memorable experience and they return and bring a friend with them when they come, and most importantly, serving our community. And it really is the latter part that I think answers the question that you just asked as far as the role that Tropicana will play in that future. It's all of those things combined. If we continue to invest in our team members and we make Tropicana one of the best places to work in New Jersey, then that goes a long way for creating a workforce in which, again, they feel proud to be here and they are committed to the work that they're doing, which will then in turn translate into us continuing to deliver excellent customer service and make the guest experience a memorable one, which again, they'll be willing to return, and that will help us grow the business, which, it benefits everybody. And then, as I indicated, the work that we do in the community, Tropicana has done a fantastic job with being a great community partner, and we're looking to elevate that even more. We have done work with a few key institutions in the city, not the least of which is the Boys and Girls Club. There are other institutions that we've supported and we will continue to support. But in my mind, if we are true community partners and we tap into the needs of the city and the residents of the city, then I think that goes a long way with helping with what we talked about earlier as far as the vision of the city.
Excellent. Well, being part of Stockton, we see a lot of emerging students graduating, and they're the future leaders, hopefully, of Atlantic City and other places around the world. What advice do you have for those future leaders?
There are two things that I would say. One is to do the work. Nothing, and it sounds simple, but nothing replaces like rolling up your sleeves, being intellectually curious, and spending time doing the work. And what that means for students, for early career professionals, is reaching out to others who have done the things that you want to do and spend some time with them to understand how they got there. There's no substitute for time. Sometimes it takes time for you to grasp a certain subject matter or get the experience that you're going to need to help elevate you to the next level. And there are no shortcuts for that. So just like spend the time to do the work and gain the knowledge that you need that's going to position you for any type of leadership role you want in the future. So the first one is do the work. The second, and I kind of alluded to this in the first one, but it's really part of the second one. The second is truly understand the importance of mentorship and sponsorship. And so I want to explain the difference and why they're both important. So a mentor is someone who has done what you want to do and who can help guide you along the way. They can answer your questions. They're the safe people and the safe place where you can ask the silly question to. They can give you advice all along the way, whether it's with like your role or just as you think about career transitions and decisions and things of that nature. Everyone should have a mentor. You may even have multiple mentors, but spend the time in developing relationships with mentors who can guide you along the way. And then everyone should have a sponsor or sponsors. And a sponsor is someone within an organization who has a seat at the table, who can help influence your career and help ensure that you are getting the opportunities that you need to advance. Sometimes those things are one and the same, but sometimes they're different. And it's important that everyone has both. So have a mentor and have a sponsor.
Great distinction. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jackie. This was really, really a wonderful interview, and I've learned so much. And I think anyone who does watch the video, if we publish it, will really benefit a lot from it. So thank you so
Great.
much.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I enjoyed the opportunity. Thanks.